Order. The House is resumed. In accordance with the leave granted, the House now comes to questions for oral answer, and the first question stands in the name of the Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Mr. Speaker, my question is to the Minister of State-Owned Enterprises and asks, why is the government proposing to sell shares in state-owned enterprises?
The Honourable Tony Wright.
Mr. Speaker, no decision to sell shares has been made. The Treasury is providing advice on whether or not extending the mixed ownership model can meet the 5 tests that the Prime Minister has already outlined: retaining majority control by the government, prioritising New Zealand shareholders, providing good investments, using capital to purchase other public assets and limit debt increases, and protecting New Zealand consumers.
Supplementary.
The Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
To the Minister, does he agree with Treasury advice that, quote, there's little evidence to suggest that privatisation would significantly improve the financial performance of many of the SOE companies, unquote? If not, why not?
The Honourable Tony Wright.
No, I don't agree with that advice, because when you look at what the government may be considering in the future, it's not a reflection of what that evidence may have been based on.
The Honourable Tony Wright. The Honourable Clayton Cosgrove. Apologies.
I was going to sue there for a minute, Mr. Speaker. Supplementary to the Minister. Given that he doesn't accept Treasury's advice on improving the performance of SOEs, then whose advice is he taking? Or can we assume that his proposals are based around ideology rather than analysis?
The Honourable Tony Wright.
Mr. Speaker, the government has asked the Treasury to provide advice on whether or not extending the mixed ownership model can meet the 5 tests that the Prime Minister has already outlined. It's quite clear that we can't continue borrowing at the current levels, so the government wants to look where we can change the mix of the assets that we own. The greatest scope to change this mix lies in the government's commercial assets, and it is crazy to remain locked into an ownership model of the past which may constrain the future of New Zealand.
The Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Does he agree with the former Minister of SOE's statement that the government, quote, will prioritise New Zealand shareholders, unquote? And if he does agree, can he guarantee to the House that the bulk of any floated shares in a partly privatised SOE will remain in the hands of Kiwi mums and dads?
Honourable Tony Wright.
Mr. Speaker, the matter is still being scoped and advised to us by our advisors, but what I can say is that there can be absolute guarantee that the government will be retaining 51% ownership of any asset that the government may consider having some public float of.
The Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Given that the Minister has said he has sought advice, departmental advice, on the partial sale of SOEs, when does he expect to receive that advice? And is he expecting that advice to contain a mechanism to ensure that SOEs stay in the hands of Kiwi mums and dads, as his Prime Minister has previously stated?
The Honourable Tony Wright.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has made it absolutely clear that in the consideration that's been given to this matter, ownership will retain in the hands of the Crown to the proportion of at least 51%.
Yes, it was. Second.
Question number 2, Michael Woodhouse.